A couple of weeks back, BMW announced a long overdue update for their naked roadster, the S1000R, and it carries over a whole bunch of changes from the more recently refreshed S1000RR superbike. There are plenty of tasty updates to the electronics, the chassis, and some revisions to the engine, but is it enough to compete in an exceptionally crowded market? There are so many super powerful high-tech bikes in this segment, so in today's video we're going to go over all of the changes on this bike for 2021 and see how it stacks up to the competition. But before we get started, if you're new here and you want to see all of the latest new bike news, then please do remember to hit subscribe. I'll be getting hold of as many of these 2021 bikes as possible to review next year, so be sure to subscribe if you want to see those videos as soon as they go live. This new engine is largely derived from the S1000RR, which was updated for 2020, although it's been significantly detuned for road use. A peak power of 165 horses occurs at 11,000 RPM, which is pretty much in line with what you'd expect from this line of bikes, but more than 40 horsepower down on the S1000RR, which makes 207 horsepower at 13,500 RPM. This is partly down to the omission of shift cam, which is BMW's variable valve lift and timing system, which shifts between two different cam profiles to give more top-end power at higher revs. They updated the S1000XR last year, which is their crossover sports tourer, and that didn't have shift cam, so clearly BMW don't think it necessary for the road on this inline-4 engine, and that's still the case for this new S1000R as well. The focus is more so on rideability and torque, with 114 Nm of peak torque being only a smidge more than the RR, but delivered almost 2,000 RPM lower in the rev range at 9,250. There are other changes to make it a better road bike too, such as the 4th, 5th and 6th gears being lengthened for better cruising, reducing revs, which in turn improves fuel efficiency and keeps the noise down. They've also updated the slip assist clutch to be smoother as well, and their MSR engine drag torque control system is now an optional extra. Essentially, a slipper clutch and the MSR system do the same thing. They prevent the rear wheel from locking up under aggressive downshifts, making the bike easier to control. A slipper clutch does this mechanically, allowing the engine braking forces to slip, but this happens at a set threshold. MSR has a similar effect, but does so by opening the throttle valves electronically, and is therefore more nuanced and able to cope with varying levels of rear wheel grip, such as in the wet. So that's basically a long way to say that the slipper clutch will do its job, but if you do some quicker riding in the wet, then the MSR upgrade might be worth a look. A new frame and swing arm is also carried over from the RR with what they call a flex frame design. The engine takes more of the load as a stress member, and as a result, the frame's 1.3 kilograms lighter than the previous generation. The engine is also 5 kilograms lighter, and the new cast wheels, which are also carried over from the RR, save another 1.8 kilograms. There are presumably some weight gains in other areas, but the net result is a 6.5 kilogram improvement in wet weight, with the new S1000R standing at 199 kilograms. The new frame is also narrower, especially in the knee area, which BMW claim will make it easier for the rider to maneuver themselves on the motorcycle. The bars are also adjustable on this new version, with the ability to flip the bar clamp to move the bar position back and forth by 10mm. There's also a 10mm riser option, which again can be reversed back and forth. The new swing arm from the RR has resulted in the rear suspension spring strut being moved away from the engine, which they say prevents the shock from heating up, which can affect its damping response. Suspension and braking are own brand equipment with a 45mm upside down fork at the front and 4-pot radially mounted calipers on 320mm discs, and a monoshock at the rear and a single piston caliper on 220mm disc. There is, however, the option to upgrade to their dynamic damping control system, which electronically adjusts damping based upon the riding mode and whether you're riding solo or two up. Essentially, the road and rain modes will give you a more comfortable ride, whilst Dynamic and Dynamic Pro will firm things up for good road surfaces or the track, improving handling. The new S1000R gets a 6-axis IMU as standard, enabling ABS Pro, which is lean sensitive, as is their dynamic traction control. That system also introduces a fixed wheelie control function, and 3 riding modes of road, rain and dynamic also come as standard. An optional Riding Modes Pro package takes things up a notch with a fully adjustable Dynamic Pro riding mode, engine braking control, engine drag torque control, which we've already mentioned, an adjustable wheelie control function, and dynamic brake control, which kills the throttle under emergency braking to avoid unintentional application. Hill start control is standard, which holds the brake as you move off when activated, and Hill Start Control Pro is also an option which detects a gradient of more than 5% to automatically activate the feature. There's also a quick shifter option for clutchless up and down shifts. All of this can be managed through a new 6.5-inch TFT display, which again is inherited from the RR, and in my experience of riding some recent BMWs, their TFT displays, the layout of the information and the ease of navigating it all is up there with the best in the business, so I'd expect nothing else from the S1000R. Bluetooth connectivity also comes as standard, which opens up navigation prompts and smartphone control features if you're into that kind of thing. Lastly, in the tech department, lighting is now LED all round, with LED indicators at the front now mounted on the fork, and LED rear indicators which are integrated with the tail and brake light for better visibility and therefore safety. The Headlight Pro upgrade adds more LEDs for cornering lights, which illuminate the inside of a turn, improving safety at night. Lastly, there's a styling overhaul, and I think it looks pretty good with the lifted tail, low front end, and a bit of trellis on show in the subframe. It's a little less insectoid than the competition and more distinctively a BMW. Here's a side-by-side with the outgoing model, and it certainly looks that little bit sharper and more aggressive. The base model comes in red, which personally I really like the look of. The sport version comes in silver metallic with a bit of extra finishing and anodization on the subframe and components, and with this model you get a lot of the extra electronics and dynamic damping that we just mentioned bundled in, as well as heated grips, keyless ignition, cruise control and more. And lastly, the M Motorsport finish is reserved for the M package, which includes lighter forged wheels, a lap timer, their endurance chain, a lightweight battery, an M Sport seat, and an Akropovich exhaust. The base S1000R starts at £12,055, and the upspec S1000R Sport with all the uprated electronics starts at 14 grand. The M Sport package adds another 2,800 for either model, and there are further upgrades from there, like a carbon or billet package. But the question is, how does it stack up against the competition? For a little less cash, you could get a Triumph Speed Triple, although you'll get a little less power, and it's due an update very soon, so if you've got your heart set on a triple, then it might be worth hanging on for this one. You've also got the Yamaha MT-10 at a similar price point, with its beautiful sounding cross-plane inline-4 taken from the R1. Power and torque are comparable with the S1000R, but it's also been a while since its last update, so the tech, especially on the base non-SP model, looks a little dated, and it's a good 10 kilograms heavier too. With a touch more power, you've got options like the Aprilia Tuono V4 and the KTM 1290 Super Duke R, although you're starting to get up to the 14 and 15 gram mark. Beyond that, if you want to go for a 200 horsepower super naked weapon, then you can choose from Kawasaki's supercharged ZH2, the Ducati Street Fighter V4, or the MV Agusta Brutale 1000RR. The Kawasaki starts at around 15 grand, the Ducati at 17.5, and the MV at 27 for a real piece of exotica. The thing is, BMW clearly could have made a 200 horsepower naked here. They could have carried the shift cam tech over to the S1000R for an extra few thousand revs and all that top end that comes with it. But they've clearly made the call to build something that works predominantly well on the road as well as the track if you so wish. And on paper, given the starting price and some of the standard features, I reckon it looks pretty good. Not outstanding, it doesn't really have a single killer feature, but as a package, it ought to make for a heck of a road bike. But as always, I'd love to know what you think down in the comments below. Would you take this, or at a similar price point, would you take the Speed Triple with its torquey delivery, or perhaps the MT-10 with that R1 growl? Let me know your pick, and if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.